Yo guys, what's up? It's OGXRAYZ and welcome back to another video. So today we've actually got some pretty big news I wanted to talk about. This is going to be Switch News Roundup. A little bit just talking about some of the new stuff that was released by Nintendo, information along with new announcements as well here for the Nintendo Switch 2. And this is actually kind of funny. I saw this yesterday. This was posted by Nintendo themselves in a tweet saying that the Switch 2 sold 3.5 million units in the course of 4 days, making it the fastest selling Nintendo console ever. Now, Nintendo kind of does this thing where they don't really like to mention that they're, number one at certain things, just all time for everything. I think it just might be just because of the respect that the Japanese culture has and Nintendo as a company has. They never really go out and brag about certain stuff. So they wouldn't say that this is the best-selling console, or at least the best-selling launch to a video game console ever for anything. This is number one. It topped, I think number two is the Wii, which I think was like 3 point something over the course of a month. But now this is verified that Nintendo Switch 2 is the number one video game console launch of all time, which is insane. And it goes completely against the grifter and anger narrative that a lot of people are saying, that the Switch 2 is going to be the Wii U, that it was going to flop in sales. Now, a lot of stuff could happen over the course of the next year. We still have to see how the Switch 2 will perform. At least the initial metrics are saying that it's going to perform well. We'll see. But at least for now, it looks like Nintendo is on the right track in terms of sales and excitement from people who are handing over money to get a Switch 2. So speaking of sales, just want to mention today that our sponsor for the video is Control Freak. They have been really working with me recently. They want to do some promotion. I really enjoy Control Freak, and they just released their brand new no slip thumb grip. So these are going to be thumb grips so you can put on your PS5 or your Xbox. They are universal and they're easy to pop on and pop off. Protect your sticks from wearing out. To me, that is one of the most annoying things that can happen to your control sticks, where you just wear them down from playing. So invest in your controllers and protect them with some Control Freaks. Link down below. Code OGXRAYZ gets you 12% off. With that said, let's jump into the next topic. For the people that were kind of griefing and saying, hey, this is just another Wii U situation. And again, there's a lot of valid arguments over the Switch 2, the launch lineup. I had a video the other day talking about my thoughts. Do I regret buying the Switch 2? I also talked a little bit about the issues that I'm having with the Switch 2, or just in general, should you wait or should you get a Switch 2? Check out that video. I'll link it down below, and it'll also be in one of the cards. But essentially, there is some points. There's some valid points. It's $450 for the console. That is a hell of a lot more expensive than the Switch OLED. So I can understand why some people would say that's a little too expensive. Now, when you put it in the same mindset of other handheld PCs like the Steam Deck, or I don't even want to go with any of the other Windows based ones, because those are like $700, $800. But when it comes to the way the tech is progressing, everything is just getting more expensive. So while I wish that it was cheaper for other people to be able to enjoy and be able to use the Switch 2, at the same time, I'm like, $450 seems on par with what everything else is to produce and make. So that's just the way that I see it. All right, so handing over to probably the biggest piece of news that we got yesterday on a random Tuesday, Splatoon is getting a spin-off game called Splatoon Raiders. Now, it looks like this is going to be straight spin-off, no multiplayer. It's a solo campaign story, and it looks like it follows the Deep Cut crew. They didn't really have a lot of story going into the last bit of gameplay. They kind of like showed them, but they didn't really elaborate on them. A lot of people thought there was going to be like an expansion pass similar to what they've done with Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 1, but they didn't really do anything. So this is kind of answering the prayers of the people who were invested with Deep Cut, and now finally they'll be able to get a story based around them. You play as a mechanic, and it looks like, at least initially what I see, it looks like you're going to be running around doing a lot of crafting and surviving. So it might be more of like a survival game than anything else. I'm interested to see it. It is exclusively on the Switch 2, and not just that, but they also announced a pretty big update coming here to Splatoon 3. So if you were starting to pack that thing away and thought it was over because there was no announcements or updates for the 10th anniversary of Splatoon, well, it's here. So on the 12th, which is going to be tomorrow, there's going to be the 10.0 update for Splatoon 3 that's going to add a ton of new weapons. It's going to bring back a classic map. So it's going to be a lot of fun for those of you who enjoy Splatoon and have been invested in that game. And this might be a hint that maybe Splatoon Raiders is just a way for them to give you a little more space before they can finish working on Splatoon 4 here for the Switch 2. So with that said, that's kind of the biggest news that we've had so far this week. Nintendo absolutely killing it with the initial launch numbers over the course of 4 days, 3.5 million units by the Switch. And I gotta say, that is a huge props to Nintendo for having the amount of inventory. I think that a lot of other consoles would have done similar numbers had they had the inventory to sell. PlayStation 5 still selling really well. Looks like it's going to be another really profitable, really well sold console. And I bet you with the line, with 2020 being COVID and all those issues they had, they could have probably done similar, if not better numbers in the Switch 2 if they just had the inventory for it. So that is a testament, I think, to Nintendo making sure that they had enough inventory. Overall, yes, not everyone is able to get a Switch 2. People are still scalping them and grabbing them as fast as they can, but still moving 3.5 million units over the course of 4 days kind of makes it so that their projection of 15 million units this year doesn't seem so far-fetched. So with that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. If you're new, make sure to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so by checking out my sponsors, Control Freak and Aim Controller. I use them every single time I play. Code OGXRAYZ gets you a discount. Link in the description below to that, or through my Amazon influencer page if you guys would much rather do it that way. And then if you guys want to talk and interact, at OGXRAYZ over on Twitter, give me a follow over there. Link down below. You guys have an awesome day. Take care. I'm out. Peace.